Let's just do this now. This never used to happen. Hey ghosts! It's here! The revolution has begun. We're tearing society apart. Goodbye overconsumption, climate chaos, and financial hardship. We are de-influencing. It's no surprise to anyone that I'm into this trend. I recently gave a very personal insight into how Marie Kondo influenced my life, and I think de-influencing was part of that. I just didn't know it had a name. De-influencing is the act of telling your followers what not to buy. These videos surfaced recently, initially as a sincere attempt to expose unethical labour practices and excess waste from trend cycles. Something that's been around for a while now, to be honest. I actually edited a TV show last year that was about unethical practices in fast fashion. Alright, bye then. Channel 4 also did an expose on the working conditions of employees of Shein. Sorry if you're not in the UK, but I'm sure there's some media out there in your lands too. So there already has been a movement to expose fast fashion's exploitation. And now there's this momentum where more and more influencers are making de-influencing videos, warning their followers of the traps of buying everything you see online. But the angle has shifted into why the product sucks, or how we've been duped into thinking we need it. It's not the best shift in message. If you don't respond to how unethical and environmentally damaging something is, maybe you'll respond to how it affects you. But if it gets us to stop over-consuming, then it's helpful. I'm usually inundated with wide-eyed, jaw-dropped people hyping up something that I have not searched for and have no need for. And sometimes I'm sucked in. I'm gonna try to not be really nasty, okay? But I was targeted by a skincare brand whose ads were like, "My husband asked me if I'd had a butt lift." That's me doing that stupid robot voice.
You know this voice.
Your husband thought that you, without disappearing for any length of time, without any scarring or bruising or bandages, and without changing how you sat down for several weeks, had a butt lift. The sensationalism in ads is over the top, and this is by design. So I did a course called the Science of Wellbeing. If you know, you know. I bring this course up in every 4th video or something, but it is eye-opening and life-changing and free. I'm not sponsored by this course, and yet I think I am their strongest PR method. But anyway, in the Science of Wellbeing, the course gets to the core of why our moods peak and dip in this modern era. And one massive factor is stuff. We get hooked on the promise of intense joy whenever we see someone overreacting to a product. And we subconsciously want that intense feeling for ourselves. Studies show that we get a hit of dopamine in our brains when we buy a new product. Even if it's online, submitting the payment is enough.
I love to shop the Klarna.
And then we also get a hit of dopamine when the item arrives. However, from that point on, we never achieve the same level of joy as we did when we bought the item. And this would happen whether we're buying a high-end luxury item or a cheaper everyday item. So in order to feel that hit again, we subconsciously seek out the same experience by buying more stuff. But we train ourselves to get addicted to the feeling of happiness when we buy a new thing and not from the thing itself. In fact, if we didn't really need it and end up not using it that much, it ends up making us sad because it sticks around in our lives to remind us that it doesn't make us happy anymore. So does this mean de-influencing is good and influencing is bad now? Not exactly. As someone who has ads on their YouTube videos, because that's the only way I make money from this labor of love, I'm aware that even though I'm not pushing a product, I am enabling this constant stream of influence on people's minds. I really hope that when the ads come on, you just take them as information, and if you ever do need this product, then it's there and it does this. From a human point of view, an ad shouldn't create a want in you. It should help you choose between the options you have to solve a real problem in your life. But I used to work in marketing, and I know that from a marketing point of view, it's the complete opposite of that. They want to create a problem and serve up the solution all in one package. And sometimes the problem isn't obvious. It could just be, are you cool though? Because you don't have this particular brand of wireless headphones. So it's mean girl energy. And not the fetch kind. So it's nice to know there is a movement that's trying to help us all resist this kind of manipulation. For me, it boils down to media literacy. When we engage with something like a video or a graphic, we should not only consider what it's saying, but why it's saying it. I've talked about media literacy before in the blame it on the edit trend. This showed how you can essentially spin any narrative you want by manipulating the materials the viewer sees. Last year, there was a video series on TikTok about a random guy who realised that the staff at his local garage would allow you to install any cardboard cutout without challenge because they just reckon that someone at head office has ordered this promo material and you're here to install it. So he created a cutout of himself and installed it in the garage as a gag. When the garage found out, they decided to do a promotional deal with the guy because they were so tickled by the whole thing and it was a nice thing to do. Well, it turned out the whole thing was staged. The guy was hired to create TikToks that made it look like he organically pulled off this gag. And the garage chain made it look like they were just taking an opportunity to create a promotion. He apologised, but it was a big shake-up in the influencer space. You see, you're obliged to tell people when you are advertising. It's in the T's and C's of like every social media platform. Because there are rules and regulations. You're not allowed to lie about a product. That's false advertising. And you're supposed to make it known that the company you're talking about have paid you to say nice things about their product. Because even if you believe that the product is good, you're still receiving money to say that. We need to know what we're viewing and why we're viewing it in order to make an informed choice. And now we also have to look out for the influencer in de-influencer clothing. Because some people are using de-influencing not to help you avoid the pull of euphoric ads, but to just sell you something else. And that's right back to the beginning of the problem. Abundant, cheap rubbish. It's one thing to go, I like the taste of supermarket pasta just as much as brand pasta, so I'm just gonna buy the cheaper one. Like, fine, that makes sense. But to take clothing, for example, if an influencer is saying, don't buy this more expensive version, buy the cheap version instead, take a look at what's actually going on behind that. What if this company has a warehouse and factory based in your own country and they pay a fair wage to workers and they use materials that don't damage the environment, and that's why their clothes are the price they are? And then the cheaper one is from a fast fashion website that exploits people in order to make the garments and then ships them across the world, damaging the environment. And it falls apart after one wear. We're not seeing the full picture. Over the last year, I've seen a lot of influencers calling out BS sponsors, particularly who pay influencers to ad read for them. That's when like a YouTuber just suddenly starts reading an ad in the middle of their video. And now a word from today's sponsor, me. I made this in my free time and I'd love your support. Kunkin Dassner did a great video on different companies out there now that are always featured in ad reads. He dove into how disappointed actual users of these services are, but because of their aggressive marketing strategies, they're everywhere. I'm not gonna lie, if someone offered me hundreds or thousands of pounds to ad read for something, I'd be really tempted. But you really have to think about what you're telling your followers and figure out if it's true. Because they probably follow you because they trust your opinion, whether you're doing serious deep dives or silly fun. So if the Science of Wellbeing wants to hit me up for a sponsor, I already have a wealth of material for that ad read. I think de-influencing is a positive thing because it gets us to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of how everything has been pushing us to overconsume. But we can't let it push us into other destructive habits. We need to resist. Vive la révolution! See you next time.